the Homesteaders of America conference. It's not really easy to put in to a video everything that happened this weekend. We met a lot of really great people. We really did. And I don't remember all your names, and I'm very sorry for that. We learned so much from so many different people, not just the speakers, but every person that we talked to standing in line for food or even for the bathroom. I had some information to pass on. It was really cool. It was a very heartening experience. I didn't get a whole lot recorded while we were there. I didn't want to record the talks because I wanted to be in the moment. I wanted to really get a feel for what was going on and the atmosphere in the room, and to enjoy that community experience that each of the talks held. And they were great, all of them. Every single one that I stopped into was not just super informative, but fun and very affirming of the lifestyle that this homesteading is. The first day, we got on the road, and I was recording just like a normal vlog.
We are setting out for Homesteaders of America.
Yay!
We're so excited. Grandma Sue's already asleep.
Not really.
Lucy will soon be asleep. And got Captain Andrew. Can't wait to see everybody.
It was our first road trip in the new truck. So we didn't know how well it handled going long distance. We didn't know how much gas it was going to consume. We didn't know how cramped or how much space we were all going to have. And it had been a long time since we'd made a long distance trip with Lucy. So we weren't quite sure how she was going to react. Our first stop was to stop at Heritage Farms General Store in Goldsboro to pick up a special gift for someone. We stopped in, we shopped, we took a lot of pictures, and they actually allowed me to video inside, so it was kind of cool. They sell a lot of really good cuts of pork and a lot of pork products, some great sauces and t-shirts. Some very funny t-shirts. One of which we picked up as a gift for someone. And while we were there, we did stop for a little bit of a photo shoot by an antique tractor that they had on site, and we got some really good shots. Lucy had some fun climbing on the hay bales. She wanted to climb on the tractor, but we weren't going to let that happen. From there, it was an uneventful trip. We stopped to get gas at our favorite rest area on exit 33 on I-95. And then we made the hotel room. We were exhausted. It's normally a 6-hour trip, but when you have a toddler, I mean, things just take a little bit longer. We had to take a little more time on the bathroom breaks and the gas breaks just to give her a chance to stretch her legs and whatnot. You don't want to keep them clammed up in a car seat for 9 hours, right? And Lucy was not ready for bed. That's for sure. Lulu, what are you doing?
Jump.
You jump.
Show everyone how you jump on the bed, like the monkeys. What happens when the monkeys jump on the bed? Did they fall off and bump their head? Mama called the doctor? Oh yeah.
See? Bumped your head. So Lucy, what do? No more monkeys jumping on the bed.
Good job.
Good job. First day of the conference. We jumped out of bed like kids on Christmas. It's not even funny. Like, alarm went off, we snapped up, we were ready to go. Even though we got no sleep. Lucy spun in circles all night. So while we were ready to go, Lucy couldn't be bothered to get out of bed. Lulabelle. It's time to get up. And this is our first time back since we moved down here, and it was already fall. It was really cold. 45 degrees when we got out there. You could see my breath for the first time since March. It was kind of unexpected. And as we're driving to the venue, there's a fog everywhere. There's a fog just covering the entire countryside. It was absolutely beautiful. And then we get to the fairgrounds, and we just see the line of cars going down the highway. Everybody trying to turn in. And it's still an hour before the first speaker. It's an hour before the opening ceremonies of the first day. And there are people just piling in. It was awesome. So many people interested in learning more about homesteading. It was so cool. As we were walking in, we're going past the vendors. We're going to the main barn where the opening ceremonies and the main stage was. We weren't the only people that were excited. A lot of people were chit-chatting happily and expressing what they felt they were going to get out of the conference. So we got a seat, watched the opening ceremonies, and as we were leaving, it was a large group of people. Everyone kind of bumping and jostling into each other, but nobody was mad. Everybody was saying, sorry, excuse me, didn't see you there. Or they'd use it as an opportunity to start a conversation. As a matter of fact, the people we were sitting next to, we'd never met before. We turned and started talking to them. Had a lot in common. Started asking each other questions, exchanging information. So it wasn't just what we were learning from the speakers, it was also what we were learning from each other, and that was really, really cool. The first speaker that I saw was Janet Garman from Timber Creek Farm. And her talk was about raising livestock on small farms. Now, we have less than 10 acres, so we are considered a small farm. And there were a lot of things that she brought up that we hadn't thought about. Mistakes that she had already made that we couldn't even anticipate. And I learned so much about how to look at the animals on your property and how to utilize them properly. I think I got like 5 pages of notes out of the entire talk. It was awesome. Then we got to see Justin Rhodes give a talk about designing your best homestead with permaculture principles. It was a fascinating talk. But the biggest thing that we took away from it was planning is everything. You can't just throw things at the wall necessarily and see if they stick unless you know what you want your outcome to be. You have to have an idea to work towards. Never thought of it that way before. We thought we knew what we want, but now that we've seen some of these talks, we're rethinking our plan. And during the lunch break, we took the time to walk around and see the vendors. We could not drag Lucy away from the alpaca and the goats. She just kept going back and forth and back and forth. It was so awesome to see her have so much fun. And it wasn't just her. All of the children there seemed to be having the time of their life. Kids who had never met each other before playing. I didn't hear one argument. I didn't hear about one scuffle. Every child was so polite. It was amazing. After the lunch break, Sabrina and my mother went to go learn about living in a yurt from Mike and Lacie Dickson. And they had a blast. We've always wanted to live in a yurt. We still might set one up. We're not sure. We love our house, but we also like the idea of living in a yurt. Well, I went over to learn about fencing from Josh Draper, the Stoney Ridge farmer. And that was a great talk. He had a lot of insight on his thought process in setting up the fences on his property. Again, things that I had never really taken into consideration. So it was really nice to hear the thought process of somebody else planning their farm. And I'm not going to lie, by the end of day one, my head was spinning. So much information. I had written as much down as I could, and thankfully, all of the talks have been recorded and are available for members of the Homesteaders of America. So I'll be able to go back and revisit and hopefully pick up on some things that I missed. The last talk of the day was Hewn Farm. Doug and Andrew told an excellent story on how they got into their current business of harvesting the pigs and how it evolved from what their original plan was into what it is today. And how, even though they've been successful in some fields, they decided to dial down the production so as not to get overwhelmed. It's not something you hear about very often. Most of the time in business, you hear expand, expand, expand. You need to make more money. But to have someone tell you that they looked honestly at what they were capable of doing and decided to dial it back is amazing. It's kind of a reminder for all of us to not get ahead of ourselves and not chase the dollar over our own lives and the lives of our families. You can still be successful and have a life. It is possible. 100% I believe that. After we left there, I went back up to my gym to teach a jiu-jitsu class, and the rest of my family went back to the hotel. I'll tell you, I got in at 10 o'clock to that hotel room, and I was out cold. That day just took it out of us. In a good way, of course. Day 2. Joel Salatin of Polyface Farm. The man, the myth, the legend. The whole day was mostly devoted to him. Like I said before, we were trying very hard to be in the moment, but we also wanted to take notes and use our time wisely and kind of get to the nuts and bolts of what it is that we want to do. I couldn't keep up with that man. He was dropping so many nuggets of wisdom. He was sharing so much of his experience, I just could not keep up writing. And at one point, I literally just had to close my notebook and sit back and just watch. And you know, the one thing that all of the speakers that I saw anyway, it could only be in one tent at a time, the one thing that they all said is it's okay to scrap your plan and start over. If something isn't working, you don't force it. You stop, assess, regroup, drink your cup of tea, and start over again. There's nothing wrong with it. And you just keep trying new things until it works. There's no set formula for every person's homestead or farm or property, even if you don't want to put a name on it. You have to do what works for you. His first talk was a two-parter. It was a lecture about raising broilers on your homestead and how you can make it profitable and what his process really is and tricks that he's used to make things more efficient, and also his thought process on how to manage things and how to think about things, which was awesome. The second part was a live butchering. Now, we're moving into broilers next year. We know that for sure. I've seen hundreds of instructionals on how to do it. I've seen tons of YouTube videos, but I've never seen one live before. And there was a moment right before he bled the first bird. Nobody said a word. A lot of people, even people who had done it before, were so intent on what he was doing. You could have heard a pin drop. And we were outside in a tent. And Joel made sure to emphasize the point that it should not be taken lightly, and there should be a level of respect. Because after all, that animal's life is going to be given up for your life. So you should pay some more respect to it. And that's not a way that people nowadays really think. We're so disconnected from our food. that we just think it's a hunk of meat. We forget sometimes that it was a living, breathing, clucking, oinking thing. And this was a really humbling experience to bring us back in line with that. After lunch, Joel then spoke about finances on the farm and how to plan for it, and his philosophy on how to think about things like equipment. The number one thing I took away from it is that you need to make sure that everything that you do has an assessed value. Not just your time, but if you buy a piece of equipment, what can that piece of equipment do for you? How can it add value to your farm? How can it add value to your life? Not just beyond one job, but can one piece of equipment do multiple things for you? Do you have to go outside of your farm, outside of what you have on hand to get something accomplished? Gave us a lot to think about when planning out the future. I must have gotten 6-7 pages of notes just on that, and I'm sure I'm going to go back, watch the video again, and find more things that I missed. After that, we met up with some people from Homestead Harvest. They were our feed supplier when we lived up in Northern Virginia. They're a farm in Maryland that does very high quality, non-GMO feed for just about all animals. We've been following them on social media, Instagram and whatnot, and when we found out they were going to be at the Homesteaders of America conference, we asked if they could bring us some of their feed, and they very kindly obliged. So huge thanks to them, because their food is top-notch. Top-notch. I can't wait to feed it back to my chickens. But a really special thing happened while we were over there. While I was using the dolly to bring the feed back to my truck, which was all the way on the other side of the parking lot, the bags fell off. I didn't stack them smartly. And there was a group of kids playing nearby, varying ages. And when they saw the bags fall, they stopped what they were doing and they came over and helped. Without being asked, no prompting whatsoever from an adult. They saw someone needed help and they came and helped. I went back and looked at the video, and the look on my face, I was absolutely flabbergasted that they did that. And it is so heartening to know that there are children out there, another generation coming up of super helpful and polite kids. They even helped me push the cart over the rest of the rocky terrain to the road. And I cannot thank them enough. And their parents. It was awesome. And then we managed to get interviewed by two family Homestead on their live stream. That was really cool. It's the first time anybody actually kind of sat down and talked to us about what it is that we were doing and how we came to be. And I know they were asking everybody that came by, but they did a very good job of making us feel special. So thanks to them. They even invited us to be on one of their Monday night live streams where they'll do a more in-depth interview with us. So stay tuned for that. That'll be awesome. The next speaker I went to see is Jason Contreras from Sodaland. He was giving a talk on digital skills for the homestead and how to monetize things online, a marketing strategy, if you will. And some of the things that he talked about, I had never thought about before, as far as connecting your social media, how to advertise things in a directed way, in an intelligent way. And it's really funny because in a previous video, I actually tagged him. I tagged his channel, I should say, because I took one of his designs. He came up with it. I aped it, so I wanted to make sure I gave credit where credit was due. And he liked us back and gave us a comment and all these things. So it was very interesting that some of the stuff that he was talking about, I had accidentally implemented. And his talk encouraged us to keep going. It was really cool. So we're going to keep going. And the final talk of the day was Justin Rhodes, how to get your chickens to do your gardening. His animal garden miracle plan. And man, there was so much information. And it was the end of day 2, and I was so burned out. I mean, I was so tired. And Lacie was done with the whole event. But I still managed to learn so much from it. And I can't wait to go back and watch the video and pick up more details from it. It's going to be great. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. Not only did we learn so much, and we made so many new friends, and everybody who has subscribed to our channel or liked us on Facebook or even just given us a thumbs up, thank you so much. It seems like it's very little, but it means a lot. And it helps keep the positivity moving forward. It helps foster the community. And we're going to try to give as much back to that community as we can, in any way we can. Because after this weekend, we know that this is the life that we want. It was awesome. We were so tired. I don't think I pulled the camera out once for the trip back. We were exhausted. And it's the day after we got back, I'm still tired. And we can't wait to do it next year. We can't wait to see everybody again. I hope I get to see some of the same people. I hope that we get to make more new friends. I hope that the event is even larger next year. Because it's totally worth all that we had to do to go there. Totally worth it. Anyway, we hope to see y'all there next year. Thanks for watching this, and see you on the next video. Bye.